Hello students, welcome to iExamB. In this series of discussing past year based questions for DEPR phase 1, in this video, in part 3, we are continuing our discussion on some more questions on econometrics and statistics. I hope you are finding these questions useful for your preparation. Let's see question number first. If the two regression lines are perpendicular to each other, what is the value for R? So what is R? R is correlation coefficient. It shows the relationship between the two regression lines. The value of R ranges from -1 to +1. If R is -1, then it indicates perfectly negative relationship, and if it is +1, that it indicates positive relationship. Right? And if the value for R is 0, that it indicates that there is no relationship between these two regression lines. If the line coincides with each other, then the coefficient can be -1 or +1, because in that scenario we cannot say it is negative or positive, but the lines will definitely coincide with each other. If the value for correlation coefficient is 0, then the lines will be perpendicular to each other. Right? So answer for this question is C, 0. Because the lines are perpendicular here, so the value for correlation coefficient is 0. Question number 2. Here what is given? There are two regression lines, this one and this one. Now we have to find which of these line is a line of regression for x on y and y on x. So here we need to find whether this line is x on y or y on x, or which one is this one. So what steps should we follow for these types of question? This type of question is important for 2 marks. First of all, what we have to do, we have to make an assumption. Assumption about what? We have to assume one of these line to be x on y and other one should be y on x. For example, if you assume first one as y on x, you should assume second one as x on y. Now second step is to rearrange. We have to rearrange equations to find the value for regression coefficient for both. Third step is to find the value for R. Fourth step is to make conclusion or see whether our answer was correct. To check the answer. How to check? If the value for R lies within the range, that is -1 to +1, then our assumption was correct. If R is not within the range, then we have to make new assumption. Like in the first one, we have assumed first line as y on x and second one as x on y. Now in the second or new assumption, we have to assume first one as x on y and second one as y on x. I'm not going to answer this question right now, but I am going to tell you only the procedure for it, and I want you to type the right answer for this question in the comment. Let me just show you to find the value for one of these coefficient from one equation. If you are assuming 4x minus 5y plus 30 is equals to 0 for y on x, how to find the value for regression coefficient? You have to rearrange the value for y. So the value will be, so this will become the value for regression coefficient. So this is 0.8. So here byx is equals to 0.8. Now you have to do for the second line and check whether our assumption was correct or not. Write your answer in the comment section. Question number 3. The power of the test is denoted by. So what is power of a test? Power of a test is probability of accepting a true null hypothesis. A true null hypothesis. So if you are accepting a true null hypothesis, it is known as power of test. And how we denote it? First of all, you have to see what is the probability of rejecting or failed to reject a false null hypothesis. That is actually type 2 error. And type 2 error is denoted by beta. So how we denote the power of a test? That is accepting a true null hypothesis, it will be 1 minus beta. Here other questions you should know that what is type 1 error, what is type 2 error, and how you denote it. So these are the other things, and type 1 and type 2 errors are most frequently asked question for 1 marks. So you should prepare for this. Question number 4. Find the correlation coefficient if regression coefficients are 0.5 and 4.5. So we have already solved this type of question while we were finding out which regression line was on x on y or y on x. So here we have the value for bxy. Let's say it is bxy and let's say this is byx. So what is the value for correlation coefficient? That is denoted by I. It is under root of bxy into byx. So it will be 0.5 into 4.5, that is equals to, here the value will be 1.5. So right answer for this question is 1.5, that is A. Let's see the last question for this part. For a set of 10 pairs of values of x and y, the regression line is given to you and mean and standard deviation of y is given to you. Later it was found out that the pair, it means the value x and y were interchanged while recording. So now we have to find the correct regression line. This question is important for 4 marks. Before moving forward, how we write the equation for this types of line? For here, the equation should be x minus x bar. As it is a regression line for x on y, so we should have a coefficient for x on y, and then we should have a value of y and y bar. Now we know the pair was changed. First of all, we have to find the correct pair. So we have to find the value for corrected x bar. We have to find the value for corrected y bar. We have to find for the value of corrected coefficient, regression coefficient. Okay. So once we know all these 3 values, we can easily rewrite the equation. First of all, we note down what information is available with us. So we have the value for n, that is 10. We have the value for mean of y, that is 8. Now we have the value for standard deviation of y, that is 2. We have a regression line for x on y, that is 2x minus 2y plus 12 is equals to 0. That should be the first step. Now we have to, first of all, we should find the value for x bar because y bar is already given to us. How we should find the value for x bar? Any regression line like this, it should pass through this, the pair of mean. So here if we put the value of this here in the regression line, so it will become x bar minus 2y bar plus 12 is equals to 0. So from here you can easily find that the value for x bar is, so it will be 4. So value for x bar is now known to us, and it is 4. First step was this. Another step was we have to find the value for coefficient of bxy, because here the line is on x on y. If we rearrange like we have done in the previous question, we can easily find the value for regression coefficient of x on y. So here line is given to us is this. If we arrange it, it will become x is equals to 2y minus 12. So here the regression coefficient for regression coefficient for x on y will be 2. So now we have two values. We have the value for x bar, and another thing, we have the value for regression coefficient. Third step what we have to do will be to find the correct value. Find correct value for x bar, y bar and bxy. We should represent it with a suffix c. So here it will be, the corrected value will be, how we find it? If we multiply it with the previous wrong mean and we subtract the value, that is actually 3, we have to add 8 and we have to subtract 3 from it, and if we divide it with the number of observation, can find the value for corrected mean. So here the corrected value for x bar is this. Similarly, we can find the corrected mean for y. So it will be 10 is the number of observation, old mean is 8. Here we have to subtract 5 because we will add 3 and subtract 8. So outcome will be, we will subtract 5 and we will divide it with 10. So here it will become 15 by 2. Now what else we need? We have to find the corrected value for bxy. The bxy is covariance of xy upon standard deviation for y. We have the value for standard deviation of y, so we can easily find this. We have the value for bxy, that old value, that is 2. So here what will be the value for covariance of x and y? So we have this old value and now we have to find the value for corrected variables. Okay. For calculating the value for the corrected variables, first of all, let's see the value for covariance of x and y. What is the formula to calculate it? Putting all the values, we have the value for covariance of x and y, we have the value for n, we have the value for x bar, and we have the value for y bar. We can easily find the value for summation xy. Will be 8 is equals to summation xy upon 10 minus 4 into 8. So if you solve this, you will find the value for summation xy is 400. So we have the value for summation xy. For corrected summation xy, what we should do? We have, if we have the old value, we subtract the old pair, multiplication of the old pair, and we add the new pair. So ultimately it will remain same. So the corrected xy will be same. Now we have the corrected value for xy, we have the corrected value for x bar, we have the corrected value for y bar. So we can easily find the corrected value for covariance of x and y. It will become 400 upon 10 minus x bar was, corrected x bar was 9 by 2 and it was 15 by 2. So if you solve this, you will find the value for it was 25 by 4. Another thing that we have to find is the value for corrected regression coefficient. Now we have the value for corrected xy. Once we find the corrected value for a standard deviation, we can easily find the regression coefficient. So let's see how to find the corrected value for standard deviation of y. Summation y square upon n minus y bar square. So here we have to find the value for old and corrected summation y square. So we can use this formula, that is find the old value for summation y square. So it will be 4 plus 8 square, so it will become 680. So now we have the old value. We can find the corrected value by corrected value will be by adding 8 by subtracting 8 square and adding 3 square, so it will become 625. So putting this value here, you can find the corrected value. So 625 upon 10 minus, what is the corrected value for y bar? It is 15.2 square. Once you solve this, you will find the value for it is now we have the corrected value for these two. We can find the corrected value for bxy. So it will be 25 by 4 upon 25 by 4. So it will be 1. 25 by 4. So now we have all the corrected value. We can easily see, we can find out our equation. So what should be our equation? It will be x minus x bar corrected coefficient, corrected regression coefficient, and corrected values. So we can find, we have the value for corrected mean for x, that is 9 by 2, and we have the value for y minus 15 by 2. So once you rearrange this equation, it will be x is equals to y minus 3. So this is the correct answer. The question is lengthy, but it is very important for 4 marks. To prepare for these types of questions, because these questions are very important for 4 marks. We will discuss more past year based question in the coming series. If you haven't subscribed the channel, subscribe it and press the bell icon for further notification. Thank you. All the best for your exam.